Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to this Advice Line live event with Jackie Castles and Sarah Jane Critchley. I'm delighted to have everybody along with us this afternoon to join us in this event, really sort of opening up a space and talking about parent and carer wellbeing and mental health as part of the sort of Parental Mental Wellbeing Week that is underway at the moment. And we know as an organisation that our parents and our carers are under a great deal of pressure and stress, and their wellbeing does need help and support. So drop us a comment, drop us a question, you can ask Jackie a question, ask Sarah Jane a question as our event goes on. But I suppose as a kind of opener, we should clarify what we mean by a parent or a carer. And sometimes we forget that being a carer, you can be from any kind of walk of life. So when we're talking about carers, we're talking about foster carers, kinship carers, siblings, extended family members, or indeed sometimes friends that pick up some of those caring responsibilities for people. So all are welcome here at the event today. And we know from information that comes in through our advice line that this is a real area of focus for parents and carers. In fact, in the last year alone, our advice line received 656 inquiries from parents and carers from all across Scotland looking for help, either with specific mental health conditions or looking for help just to help manage their well-being. And when we're talking about that, Sarah Jane, we're talking much more than go and have a nice hot bath or go for a walk. You know, these things can be helpful, but actually people are looking for something a bit more meaningful and a bit more solution focused, aren't they, in terms of sort of helping manage that overall well-being piece.
Absolutely. And I've been really privileged to be one of the people who's helped to coach individuals and families through a project that was run through Scottish Autism. And I am always full of admiration for people who are doing the hard yards. It's not easy to take care of autistic people. And it's not because the autistic people are difficult or problematic in any way. Often it's because the systems that are around us are not set up to provide what we need and to support us in the way we need. And it's families and carers who pick up the slack 99% of the time. So for everybody who's a professional out there who's doing a brilliant job in a school or a setting or a service, thank you so much. You can make a massive difference and you can really change lives. But for parents and carers who are doing the 24/7 job, who are doing the weekends, who are doing the holidays, you know, the first thing I really wanted to share with you that as a parent myself, I know what it's like to not be able to take time out, to not have anyone take care of your children when it's holiday time, to not be able to just do that thing where you say, oh, go out and have an evening for yourselves. That would be so lovely, wouldn't it? Be so lovely. Hardly ever happens. I'm an autistic woman. I have 2 autistic children who are now adult and flourishing, and it's brilliant. It has not always been like that. There have been really, really tough times. And it's important to recognize that that's the reality. Mm-hmm. And that it's almost never our individuals who are causing that toughness. It's the scenario around them that is causing that toughness. Mm-hmm. So one of the things for anybody who's supporting is please make it easier for us. That would be fantastic. That will make a massive difference to our well-being. Yeah. But what can we actually do for ourselves? Mm-hmm. So the first thing I wanted to pick up was just to accept that it is hard. You are not a complete and utter fruitcake or a failure or a ridiculous person or a bad parent or a bad carer or a bad friend or a bad grandparent if you find it difficult. Mm-hmm. You are being called to do something that most people don't have the privilege to do. You are being called to operate at an Olympic level with none of the training. So it's kind of like rocking up to Beijing or London in 2012 without having had any practice. And all of a sudden, there you are in the final, and you go, how the heck did I get here? And how can I do that? So once you realize that that's the game you're in, and it took me years to realize that's the game I was in, we have to realize that we have to train for it. So it isn't a one-day thing. It isn't a go and light some candles and sit in the bath for half an hour. Not that those are bad things. Oh, they're wonderful, but they are not going to solve the problem. Mm-hmm. You need something a bit beefier than that. Mm-hmm. So I wanted to pick up on some things that might really help you, and some really practical things that might help to move that on for you. The first thing is to think about triage. So triage is a process that's applied to people who are in major incidents or come into hospital, or if any of you are old enough to remember the TV show MASH, Mobile Army Surgical Hospital, they had a brilliant triage process. It's basically where you look at the situation, you say, what's the most important thing to do first? What's going to make the biggest difference first? And you kind of have to arrange your life by triage principles. So it's kind of what will make the difference now. The first thing that makes the difference is actually putting your needs first. I know a lot of you out there will say, but I just need to solve the problem with X. If I can just solve this situation with the school, or this situation with this particular environment, or this particular relationship, it'll all be fine. Actually, that's an ongoing process. That situation will come and go, but you need to have enough capacity to be able to deal with that. And how you can show up in those relationships will affect how everybody else can feel supported, and how you can interact with some professionals who maybe don't get it, or some other people in your family who maybe don't get it, or your young person who's really struggling and can't make that adjustment for you. So it's about co-regulation. It's about understanding how to take care of yourself first. It is not selfish to put yourself first so that you can support someone else.
And I think that's a kind of an unfamiliar concept, if I can go that far to say, for a lot of our families and a lot of our parents in particular, feeling, as you say, that I need to fix what's in front of me. And if I do that, then I'll feel better because I know I've fulfilled that sort of idea of what a parent should do. But actually, there's a reason why they say you need to secure your own oxygen mask before you try and put some on another person's on, because and yeah, I suppose the reality is as well is this is going to be for the lifetime. This is a lifelong journey that families, and it changes, and I know you've shared that your children are now adults and flourishing, and that's different, but that's no less harder or no less challenging at times. It's just different to how it was when they were children or when they were younger adults. So you're in for the long haul, aren't you? So it's sort of, it's about how we can support our parents and carers who, as you said at the beginning there, are picking up quite a lot of the responsibility and filling the gaps where things should actually be there to help and support the family. The reality is you're going to be in there for a while. So, how do we build capacity and support and but also acknowledging that sometimes people need places to just go, this is awful, or I'm having a bad time here, or this is, I need a space to be able to just express how I feel. And then that doesn't diminish my love or my care for my young person or for my adult or my commitment to supporting them. But actually, I still need that minute and I still need that moment. And I think a lot of our parents find that quite difficult balance to achieve.
Absolutely. And I was always reflecting that actually. It's like running ultra marathons back to back to back to back to back to back to back, because it is extra tiring. Parenting is a hard job at the best of times with good luck and a following wind. This is next level parenting, and it will go on for years. And I remember having this conversation with my grandmother long before autism was even heard of in our family or even recognized, because she was in her 80s when she died, and that was before my daughter was born. So this was a very long time ago. And I was talking to her about how she was still worrying about her children. And she was in her 80s and they were adult, and I was an adult as her granddaughter. I was kind of saying, but don't you stop worrying about them? She said, no. No, of course I don't stop worrying about them. Okay, it's a lifelong thing. And we can't afford to burn out. The number of parents that I talk to who say, I'm terrified of breaking. I can't afford to break. So what can we do? What can we put in place ourselves that will help us not to do that? And I've got some really positive, very simple things that I think pretty much anybody can have a go at.
Fantastic. I'm sorry, I'm just going to pick up a comment here from Susan. She's put a comment in the chat here, and the reason why I draw attention to it is because it very much aligns with what you've just said there around, you know, that sort of breaking point and feeling that kind of real conflict. So Susan has very kindly shared with us quite a difficult situation that she and her family are in. She says her son was taken into residential care in October under a Section 25 voluntary admission. We have struggled for 11 years, so he's 12 in April. He's still very young. I'm heartbroken, but I know it's the best for everyone. We see him at least 3 times a week, but the guilt and failure I feel is crippling. Now I have time for myself, but I can't bring myself, you know, to get out of bed because of that feeling of, you know, knowing that that was the best thing for him in that moment, but that responsibility of, you know, parenting and actually physically being with your child to parent them. And I think, and again, I extend my thanks to Susan for sharing, because that's, you know, a really difficult read. It's a difficult thing to hear, but Sarah Jane, I'm just thinking, you know, that kind of aligns with what you were saying there, and I wonder if some of the tips and hints that you're going to sort of share with us next will be really helpful for you, Susan, in there.
So the first thing I just want to say to you, Susan, and anybody else who's in that position, or anyone who's just generally really struggling, please give yourself the credit for having tried as long as you possibly could. You did the very best you could. Now the game is about, how can you bring the best version of you to when you see your young person, when you see them? How can you bring the best version of you to the life that you have around that, because you deserve it? And that's not a kind of, oh, I'm worth it. It's not that. It's, you're human, and we all do. And, you know, we get to difficult positions, and sometimes there is no way out other than to ask for help. Your relationship with your child will be your relationship with your child forever. So it's, how can you then manage your life in this really difficult place? And, you know, you're wiped out, you're burnt out. In my experience with dealing and helping and supporting people who are in that sort of position, it's about working out how to recover from the burnout, because I've been in burnout 3 times and it's awful. It is dire. So a lot of the time, what that's about is doing very simple, very straightforward things that make you feel like you're making some form of progress every day. And if you're having a really bad day and you're incredibly depressed, it may be, hooray, I got up and I got dressed today. It may just be that. That may be all you can do. If you then start to recover a bit, it may be, brilliant, I've managed to find something that is vaguely healthy in the fridge. It's kind of, hasn't got fur on it, it's got some vitamins in it. Yes, it's a win, one for the win. And as what we know is that when you make even the tiniest step of progress forward, that will help you to feel better. So well-being isn't just a kind of light the candles and go and have a bath thing. It's also about, how can I feel that I'm moving forward, I'm making progress, I'm making something better. And that can be a tiny, tiny thing. So let's pick up on a couple of the really practical, simple things. We know that exercise is really important, but we also know that there's a real link between nutrition and well-being. We know that there's a real link between what you eat, mood, and food. Now, it is one of the hardest things in the world to turn out food for a family that don't want to eat the same stuff and don't want to eat stuff that's healthy and want to have chips and nuggets. You know what? If the only thing that they will eat is chips and nuggets, or my husband, God bless him, who's now in his, I don't know how old he is, but he's older than I am, and I won't reveal. At one stage when he was younger, he would drink nothing but milk. His poor mother, he is also autistic. His poor mother rocked him up to the pediatrician, said he's drinking nothing but milk. And eventually they turned around and said, well, but at least he's okay nutritionally. They checked him and said, look, there are worse things than not having the best diet in the world. However, for you to be able to keep yourself at this Olympic level parenting, you kind of need to think of your training regime. So let's think of your training regime. If you were to set one up, it may be that your training regime may be, I'm going to add 1 piece of fresh fruit into my diet this week. Fab, go for the win. So there are things you can do that will make it much, much easier. I absolutely adore meal prep and batch cooking. So the best thing in the world is just doing something once that will give you easy, repeatable, simple food that you know you can eat, you know your family can eat. You make it once, you have 3 versions that you've shoved in the freezer or shoved in the fridge. You can just shove in the microwave, heat through. It takes 5 minutes instead of having to cook a whole thing 3 times. Mm-hmm. That, for me, was one of the few things that kept me okay. Knowing that I had something planned, because the awful bloody pain in the rear thing of having to turn out some form of food and think, what the heck are we going to have today? What the heck are we going to have today? What the heck are we going to have today? If you have somebody who doesn't like having the same food every day, and some of you will have people who like that, one of the things you can do is to put meal selections that you know your family will eat on little post-its and get them to choose what they're going to have. So you get the whole family involved. Monday could be pizza night, Tuesday could be pasta night, Wednesday could be nugget night, Thursday could be, and you get to plan in advance so you don't have to have that executive function of what on earth am I going to do, because that can be one thing too many. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Another thing that I did lots of, which I adored, was having one afternoon a month where I batch cooked huge amounts of food that got stuck in the freezer. So in about 3 hours, 3-4 hours, I could do enough for a whole month in advance, just lifting that pressure of stuff that was home cooked. So I knew what rubbish was in it or not. Kind of, if it had sugar in it, it was my sugar, and it didn't have fillers and all sorts of stuff. Mm-hmm. And it was really easy to do. And it was cheaper, because I know that's a real issue for a lot of us, that we're trying to keep hold of our budgets and manage. It makes it so much easier, so much quicker. Go for it. So that may work for you, that may not work for you, but it's worth a try, and it takes a lot of the lift off. The other thing I was going to say is, if there is a single shortcut you can take it. If you want to buy your pre-cut carrot batons, because you don't have 5 minutes to sit there and chop them, buy pre-cut carrot batons. As long as you can afford them, go for it. I'm here to give you permission to cut any corner you possibly can if it saves you time and heartache.
I'm a big fan of a meal prep box, I have to say, in my house. Yeah. And do you know what? We can sit down. You've usually got apps associated with them that show you in lovely pictures what that meal's going to look like, and you can see all the ingredients, and then you just click the ones you want, and then it just arrives on a day of your choice, and it's all there. And I know, it's just takes that little bit of the pressure off. And as you say, it's not the frozen pizza that's been lurking at the bottom of the freezer for a while that gets shoved in the oven, and then you feel that parental guilt of, oh my goodness, that's twice this week we've had frozen pizza, because it's there and it's in your fridge. But I think it is, we put this sort of pressure on ourselves, don't we, that it must look and feel a certain way, because that's what parenting is. But actually parenting is getting from A to B in a way that works for you and your family, not what it looks like for Mrs. Smith down the road, or what social media is sometimes telling us that parenting looks like, and and feeling that pressure, isn't it? But yeah,
well, their parenting doesn't look like our parenting.
Absolutely.
It's fundamentally different. And for us in our family, our stress levels decreased massively once we realized that we didn't have to do it everyone else's way. Mm-hmm. That it actually was possible to adjust our routine, to adjust our food, to adjust how we approached other people, to decide whether or not we wanted to do an activity based on whether it would actually be good, safe, fun, and okay for us. Mm-hmm. We didn't have to do anything that wasn't.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was going to say, we've had conversations with people as well, Sergi, and like you say, choose what works for your family. I mean, Christmas dinner doesn't have to be a turkey; it can be pizza. It's absolutely fine. Yeah, and I think as well what you're saying about pacing, your energy levels for parents is a absolutely fundamental, and yeah, definitely put yourself first at times. It's not about being selfish. It's about saying, if I do this and I'm strong, then I'll meet the needs of the people that I'm supporting.
Yeah, but I think that safe and fun, that's a real, something I think we could probably all take away, is actually, is it safe? Yeah, fine. Is it fun? you know, I know we speak to a lot of parents that say, do you know, this is not fun. This is, you know, this is a battle every day. You know, we had some parents on our Advice Line Live event on Wednesday that was saying, you know, from the minute we all get up in the morning, it's stressful because somebody doesn't want to get dressed, and then we've got the transition out to school. And by the time we've got to 9 o'clock in the morning, everybody's burnt out. Nobody's had a lovely morning. And then you've got to go on and be whatever other version of yourself, whether that's a caregiver to another child that you have at home, or potentially other family members, or you've got to go and be that work version of yourself and suddenly give all your energy to that. But you've actually done what probably most of us would consider as a full day's work from the hours of 6 to 9, you know, just getting dressed and getting out of the house. So it's but it's a real challenge for our families to finding those joyful moments and giving themselves.
And I think there was, sorry, Joanna, there was a lovely thing that we did. We had the thing called 3 Film Saturday. So I was concerned about the things that my boy might have been watching on YouTube. It's kind of the way you do. So I decided that actually a strategy would be for us to sit down and he could share with me 3 short films of things that he'd been watching. And we've done this now for years. And it was really, really interesting watching the development and the things he chose. The real strength of that was actually that I then learnt what he cared about. I had a common language with him for the things that he loved. And certainly with boys and teenage boys, particularly, communication can be difficult, you know, because they generally don't want to talk to some random middle-aged mother. It's kind of, wants to talk to you. It's kind of, but once you understand what they love and you are actually joining in that is amazing. And if you can join someone in their special interest, you have a language you can share with them. You can see them enjoying themselves. You can enjoy the time with them, even if it isn't the thing that you would choose to spend all of your time doing. My husband has a thing for antique swords. I can't say I do, but I really appreciate his love of antique swords, and I'm quite happy to support him in loving antique swords. It's kind of, you know, you can do that, and you can understand enough so that they feel and know and understand your concern, your care, and the fact that you love them, and you can join in that. And it's just, it becomes such a way of expressing joy with each other that I think it's just, we need a bit more of that to counterbalance the struggle, because there really is struggle, you know, it isn't all easy. We need the balance.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think it's a, you know, I'm thinking of some of the parents that we've spoken to over the last few months, you know, where they're sort of saying that it's just the whole thing's not working for us, you know, and I'm absolutely exhausted, I'm absolutely shattered, and actually I can't think of the next thing going forward. And I suppose it goes back to what we've been talking about there is, you know, right, take that permission to take a minute and think, right, what do I need so I can go and do that. And sometimes as well, I think certainly from the conversations that we've had, is that our families feel alone. They feel that they have to face this alone, and if they ask for help, that somehow sends a message out somewhere that they can't cope, or and that's going to raise a flag somewhere, and people are going to come and question their parenting, or, you know, are they doing the right thing? So feel that, you know, they have to sort of keep it to themselves to a certain extent. But that's there is plenty out there, and I suppose our kind of call is, please get in touch with us and ask for the help. And I know, Jackie, we've at Scottish Autism got a number of ways that we can support and help families and parents and carers as well, haven't we?
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, you know, the first point of call would be the advice line, where people can just get in touch with any, you know, question. You know, there's never a silly question as far as we're concerned. You know, that's whether it's a professional, whether it's an autistic adult, and, you know, parents, carers, you know, anybody can come and ask those questions. And if you feel, you know, live chat's a way to do it, email, whatever you want to do, get in touch with us, because we will be happy to have that conversation. You mentioned earlier, Joanna, about, sometimes people just need a space to actually say, this is how I'm feeling, and I can't necessarily admit that to anybody else. Actually, can I admit it to you? And we're like, absolutely fine. You can do that. If you've got a young person who's got a recent diagnosis, we've got our Get Set for Autism post-diagnostic support, which again is sort of 4 to 6 sessions with one of the advisors. And again, it's sort of saying, how do we help you to feel stronger, to deal with daily challenges, and potentially the news of the diagnosis might, you might need to process that just as much as the young person does. So the Get Set for Autism service can do that with you. So absolutely, we're there, and we can help you to find maybe local supports as well, carer centres, anybody else that actually is in your local authority who can say, do you know what, we can help too. We're there for you. Because as Sarah Jane says, it's a marathon, not a sprint. And it's about saying, okay, how can I get support and help when I need it?
And I suppose it's good to say, that team of advisors that are on that advice line come from all sorts of backgrounds, don't they? We've got people there who are parents themselves and can give a little bit of insight from that perspective. And as Jackie says, you don't have to speak on the phone. If you can't manage that day, that's fine. You want to jump onto live chat, which is very much like Messenger on our website, and just put in a comment, or and post it that way. We will be there, and we'll be on the other side of that. It's not a robot that's on the other side of that, or somebody who doesn't know. It's our community team that are on the other side of that live chat. Because sometimes I think, going back to what we were saying before, is that might be all the capacity I have for communication today, is just to post that message, to put that flag out there. But somebody will hear it, and somebody will see it, and somebody will come back and acknowledge that. And if you then want to phone in, or you want to drop an email, then the opportunity is there, and to get in touch. So anybody, even if you're just feeling a bit alone, or you've had a bad morning, the advisors are there, and want to hear from you. We want to hear. We want to know what it is that's impacting well-being for people, because then we can understand better, and we can think about what can we do to support that. It might be something that we don't currently do, but we can, we're listening, and we want to know what's going on for people. But Sarah Jane, coming back to you, obviously, as your role as a kind of consultant and a coach, you have a really great offer for our viewers today, for our community here, and this is exclusively for those that are watching this event today. So yeah, over to you to kind of share what this opportunity is.
Before I go on to that, can I just say thank you so much to Scottish Autism for putting this sort of event on, because I know your team and I know you are brilliant. So to the parents out there, the carers out there, please do take them up. This is a safe space for you, and I know these people have heart. There are organisations out there where you're not sure. This is one where you are sure. So you can do it safely and feel that you're in a safe space. So I want to say thank you for that, because that's really important for parents to hear. The second thing I wanted to pick up was just to say I've got an amazing thing for you, which I think will really, really help. So before my kids were diagnosed, we had a long process of not even being diagnosed. We struggled for years and years and years, and did all of it on our own, because that's really easy, isn't it? No, it's not. Find help. It's kind of, don't struggle the way I did. You don't need to. It's really unnecessary. So I've put together a wonderful program. So it's a training program that includes training and supportive materials and tools that you can use that will make a massive difference to you and your family. It's called How to Reduce Secrets of Reducing Distress in Your Autistic Family. That's not just the distress that your autistic young person may be feeling, it's also yours, okay? Because it starts there. It's for everybody in your family. And what I've done is I put together the 5 key things that I know that all autistic families need to know, and in the order you need to know them in order to reduce the stress and anxiety you feel, to put your grounding on a solid base and to know what tools are really going to make a difference. There are millions of things out there you could do. Which are the things that will make the biggest difference in the shortest time when you are wiped out and you don't know where to start? And each of the bits of the training course are in 10 to 15 minute slots, very short, very quick, so that you can listen to it in that moment where you've actually managed to run to the loo on your own. And you can listen to it because that's the only time you have, or you're on the walk back from the school run, or you happen to be in the car on the way to go and get them. They're really short, bite-sized bits. And it includes everything you need to know. What it also includes is a free one-on-one training session or one-on-one coaching session. So whatever questions you've had, you can have one-to-one help and support within that hour as part of that. So you can have all of that for half price. It's 50% off just for my lovely Scottish autism friends. All you need to do to get that is to send me an email to sarahjane@differentjoy.com. That's sarah-jane@differentjoy.com. Really quick, really simple. And just mention Scottish Autism live stream. And until the end of this month, you can get that discount. So that's available for you. I never want to leave anyone without anything. If you have no money and you are completely up against your budget, I've got loads of other things for you that are also free. So you can go onto my website at www.differentjoy.com, and there's loads of free stuff on there. So if you can't afford the program, I'm sorry, but there's lots of other stuff there for you as well.
Great. And don't worry if those of you who are watching haven't been able to grab a pen or a piece of paper, our wonderful marketing colleagues will post all of that information up underneath the event today. I'm sure they're in the process of doing that for you just now, and also including details of how to get in contact with Scottish Autism directly through our advice line, and how we can support you, some of the options that are available to you. But I suppose what's that phrase? Don't walk, run towards Sarah Jane's offer there. That's an amazing offer. We know families who have accessed that support and rave about it, and telling all their friends. So it really is great and such a generous offer. So thank you so much, Sarah Jane, for extending that to our community, because I know they will really value that. And I suppose it sort of leaves to me to say thank you so much to Sarah Jane for all your wisdom and advice this afternoon already, and just to further encourage people to get in touch or access Sarah Jane's website. Thank you, Jackie, for coming on and telling us about some of the work that you're involved in within Scottish Autism. And it leaves me to say to our parents and to our carers out there, we see you, we know you're out there, you're doing a fabulous job. The strength that you have continues to leave me in awe every day in the work that I am privileged enough to be involved in. So we see you. Please do reach out if you need anything at all. We're here for you. And thank you very much to those of you that have been able to join us this lunchtime. And we look forward to seeing you again on another Advice Line Live event coming up shortly. So take care, everybody, and have a good rest of the day.
Take care. Bye.